Is knowledge through science even possible? The answer to this question might seem so obvious for you. A big yes, but for many philosophers it is not that obvious. First, let's understand the origin of this problem. All science is based on induction. Induction is basically our ability to intuitively draw a general conclusion or predict the future from a bunch of specific claims. The American philosopher Nelson Goodman, in his famous book, Fact, Fiction, and Forecast, managed to illustrate a paradox in the weak claims of induction. To understand Goodman's riddle, we need to be familiar with the term predicate. Predicate is the part of any sentence that tells you something about the subject. For example, the emerald is green. The emerald here is the subject, and is green is the predicate, as I'm predicating color on the emerald. Goodman claims that, unlike deduction, a generalized logical form of an inductive argument does not guarantee reaching a good conclusion. To support his claim, he came up with his famous thought experiment, the paradox of GRUE. He used colors to be the predicate in question in two similar cases. This is how he stated the riddle. Imagine that all emeralds observed in the past were green. Then all emeralds to be observed in the future would be green. The conclusion here shows good induction, as it's very likely. Goodman defined a new term called GRUE. GRUE is anything observed in the past and is green, or not observed yet and is blue. Using the same form, if all emeralds observed in the past were GRUE, then all emeralds to be observed in the future would be GRUE. This is not a good induction. As in the previous example, all emeralds observed in the past were green. Using the definition of GRUE, however, the conclusion here means that all future emeralds would be blue, which is very unlikely. In the same way, Goodman defined bleen as anything observed in the past and is blue, or not observed yet and is green. Same as GRUE, the argument does not form good induction. So here, Goodman showed that we can derive two inductive arguments using the same form but different predicates and getting two contradictory conclusions. Future emeralds are green and future emeralds are blue. This is puzzling because all predicates are logically equivalent to one another. What does this mean then? It must mean that these predicates are fundamentally different. First, they are different in terms of complexity. GRUE is a disjunctive predicate that needs a definition to get a grasp of, and in that sense, it is complex. On the other hand, green, well, it's just green. Second, GRUE has a time reference. It is predicate of time, where it describes things differently according to the time of observation. Green, however, does not refer to time in any way. But Goodman disagrees. He argues that we can define green in terms of GRUE and bleen. We say a thing is green if it is either GRUE and has been observed or bleen and has not yet been observed. This way, it is perplexing to distinguish their complexity from each other. Further, now that green is dependent on GRUE and bleen, which have explicit time reference, green can also be considered to be a predicate of time, just like GRUE and bleen. However, Goodman does not deny that two predicates are different. Actually, this is the whole point the paradox gets at. He recognized two kinds of predicates, predictable and non-predictable. A predicate is predictable if its application can be extended into the future, else it is not predictable. This way, green is predictable while GRUE is non-predictable. Consequently, induction only works when the predicates are predictable. We cannot tell which predicates will be predictable. We cannot tell when induction will work and will not work. Successful induction does not depend solely on its form, but also on the predicates. Still, this definition seems circular. It is just saying, use the predicate if it leads to a good inductive argument, then it is predictable. Otherwise, it is not. It does not put forward a machinery to distinguish between predictable and not predictable. This is exactly what the riddle is about. We cannot devise a general way to assess whether or not an inductive argument is good.